I'll now call to order the City Council meeting for July 9th, 2019 for the city of Walton, Kentucky. If you will, please stand with me as I lead us in the invocation and join me in the pledge to the flag. Heavenly Father, thank you for another day on this earth. Thank you for another day in this beautiful country. And thank you even more so for another day in the beautiful Commonwealth of Kentucky. Lord, please give us the strength and the wisdom to do our best for the citizens of Walton, Kentucky tonight. Lord, we ask that you allow us to make the best decisions. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if I could please. Ooh. I think everybody can probably hear me. Can I please get a roll call?
Barb.
Here.
John.
Here.
Bobby.
Here.
Rose. Here. Stephanie.
Here.
Matt.
Here. Okay. Few quick announcements. July 10th, Walton City Park, shelter number 2 at 6:30 p.m. is a nature program. Bounce house, crafts, free popcorn and drinks. July 20th is free movie night at Walton City Park. It starts at dusk. The movie is How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. August 6th is the caucus meeting at Walton City Hall at 6:30 p.m. August 13th will be a city council meeting at Walton Senior Center at 7:30 p.m. And if I could, can I get an approval of the agenda, please?
Motion.
Second.
Barb.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Bobby.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Okay. And can I get an approval of the previous minutes for June 11th regular called council meeting and July 2nd special called council meeting? You can either motion to do them both together or do them one at a time.
Motion to combine.
Second.
Barb.
Okay.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Bobby.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Okay. Open it up to citizens'
I'd like to
comments.
Make a motion to limit citizen comments to 3 minutes per person.
Second.
Roll call.
Okay.
Barb.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Bobby.
Yes.
Rose.
No.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Okay. All right. From the Sheriff's Department, Major Bill Mark.
Well,
We did
are you
not
gonna
say
skip over
citizens.
citizens?
Oh, no, citizens' comments. Dr. Cedar,
Now we're at the end.
if you would like to talk now, you may speak, or I'm assuming
I don't know
some.
what you have on the agenda since we don't have one.
I forgot your pen.
Probably get you what I've got here.
I can do it at the end.
Sure, that's fine. I was actually planning on opening it up for discussion as we went along, but we have a few items I think that people might want to speak on.
Anybody else?
Anybody else? All right, I will go with Sheriff's Department, Major Bill Mark.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Good.
Good evening, y'all. Good to be with you again. You have in front of you the Sheriff's Department activity report for the month of June 2019. To summarize it, some of the more notable categories for sheriff incidents in the city. There was 2 911 hangups. We responded to 15 alarm drops, 2 attempts to locate, 3 animal complaints. We investigated 30 auto accidents. 7 of those had injured persons. 6 of the 7 injury accidents were on the interstate. 3 burglaries were reported. Only one of them was actually a valid burglary. We did 21 business checks, attempted criminal or civil service on 44 addresses, 5 criminal mischief complaints, responded to 10 domestics, 6 reports of intoxicated or drugged individuals, 6 emotional crises, 4 juvenile trouble calls, 16 motorist assists, 4 overdoses, 7 requests for information, 392 spot checks, 22 suspicious activity reports, 5 theft reports. All of those were from unlocked autos on either Precision or Haley Lane. 38 traffic complaints. Deputies conducted 128 traffic stops. 31 vehicle complaints, unlocked 12 cars, and responded on 4 one-person calls. A total of 975 law enforcement incidents, which for the month of June is pretty slow. That's down nearly 19% over May. So, kind of out of character in the summertime in the city. Any questions for me or anything else I can answer for you?
You know I do.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever get my email?
Nope.
Sent your email about, last meeting we talked about parking enforcement. And so continues to be cars parked all up and down the sidewalk.
Yeah, but when it comes to parking enforcement, I mean, we're happy to take enforcement action, but we're really complaint driven on parking. The deputies aren't going to go out and look for it. So if you ask your constituents to call us, we'll respond and we'll take whatever actions necessary to remedy it. Whether it's counseling. A lot of times it's just educating the owners of the car. Track them down and explain to them what they're doing wrong. Absent any other solution, we'll go ahead and ticket the car. But like I said, I mean, we're really complaint driven on that. The deputies aren't going to go around just looking for cars to ticket.
Gotcha, and it just sounds a little different than last meeting when you said, asked them questions and said, hey, if we see it, we'll take action, right? And that just sounds different than
Well,
that.
and I guess I didn't make that clear that, if we're sent there, we'll take action. But it's not something that they're going to drive around and look for violations.
Sure, I'm not saying drive around, I'm saying if they're driving past it, you're saying that if there is an ordinance in City of Walton that's being broken, or in the Boone County, if it's being broken, they have to be called on even though they drive past it. That just, you get where I'm coming from, and I think where the council's coming from, is like, that doesn't sound right for anything else that would happen. If there was, another event that was going on, they're driving past it, they would stop, right, take action, because it was against an ordinance or law or whatever. So I just find it, kind of both sides of the mouth. And I get parking enforcement's not fun, I'm sure that it's not the deputy's favorite thing to do. I get that, right, but it's still
And you have to understand, the deputy's discretion in that, and how they, I guess, weigh the severity of the offense. Somebody maybe parking with their wheels on the sidewalk isn't going to garner as much attention as somebody committing a moving violation that can endanger property or human life.
Sure, no, I get that. I just think of our handicapped residents, right? Unable to go down sidewalks because there's cars parked all the way down sidewalks, right? And so you have multiple residents that walk around here with canes or wheelchairs or scooters, but that wouldn't be able to traverse that area, right? So again, just weighing that.
Right, and again, if it's such a significant problem, one phone call, one response by a deputy would probably remedy the entire situation.
Yeah, I get it.
Major Mark, I have a question. and forgive me for not knowing, I know we have an elected constable. Can a constable issue a parking citation? I know supposedly they're supposed to be able to, pull you to the side of the road, I guess, for violations. It's kind of iffy in the state of Kentucky. I know they've removed a lot of their rights, but,
The parking citation is, it's actually a civil document
okay,
that's mediated through Boone County Fiscal Court. So with the constable not being an officer of fiscal court, I would say no, but so they would have to issue a state uniform citation, which means they would have to issue a citation to a person that couldn't ticket the car.
okay. Thank you. Right.
Anything else?
Yeah, just one more thing. So, the park, right? I mean, really been hit hard with some vandalism over the last year, right? So we're looking at the dog park twice damaged, the benches, brand new benches, the covered porch, spray paint, the cameras, right? There's a lot there. So again, just asking, you if you can deploy resources
Sure.
appropriately more in that area, just because that's just been, we spent a lot of money as a council to enhance the community, especially parks and rec. And we're just taking a beat on vandalism in that area.
Do you know when the last incident of vandalism in the park was reported to us? Because I'm not aware of anything.
So I know that
There is
Boone
a-
County Parks.
There is a report on file. Roger Williams got with one of your deputies. They were still, he filed a report, I believe. I'd have to look and follow up with you.
There was a bunch of.
It wasn't
Yeah.
too long ago.
I remember something maybe a few months ago that had to do with the picnic table.
Yeah, and there's been incidents since then, but a lot of it's been found by maybe Boone County Parks when they're cutting the grass, something like that, right? And so how do you want to handle it? Any incident?
And really, they can report that to us internally,
Okay.
and David Whitehouse and the Parks Director and I talk on a regular basis.
Okay.
And that's typically what he does at the other parks. If there's some problem at one of the other parks, that they handle, a lot of times they just report it internally
Okay.
to us. They don't have to call 911 and have a deputy come out. They can just report it through channels to us.
Got it. I'll shoot him an email.
Turn your mic off.
And again,
Sure.
we all know that the spot checks are what we report to y'all the most common, and I'll make sure that the park is on the spot checklist, and that the patrols in the park can be documented that way.
Gotcha, thank you.
And I know one of the things I don't report to you is how often deputies take their lunch breaks in the city, and I know from looking at that, especially on day shift, a lot of the deputies that, whatever deputies working in the city, a lot of times takes their lunch break at the park in the summertime.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From the fire department, we have Chief Joey Vest.
Good evening.
Evening, Chief.
Not a whole lot to report for the month of June. As with the Sheriff's Department, fortunately, I'm happy to report that things was a little slow for us as well, response-wise. We responded to a total of 87 EMS-related incidents. 15 of those was motor vehicle crashes, 10 overdoses as well. We had 59 fire-related incidents that we responded to in the month of June. The worst of those, or most significant of those, was a contractor out on Gemstone did a 2-inch natural gas line, and we had to evacuate the entire area for quite a while until Duke Energy responded to get the situation under control. And out of the incidents that we was dispatched to during the month of June, 32 of those required multiple units. So that was more than one fire units and ambulances, combination of both. So, other than that, I can tell City Council that we are in the process of working on our inspections program for businesses. We're trying to make citizens as well as employees of these businesses a little safer, while at the same time trying to keep in mind and minimize, even reduce our impact on daily operations when we come in and do our inspections for these businesses. What we're looking at is, in the past, we went to all the businesses once a year and done inspections. We find violations, and then we usually give 30 days, sometimes 14 days, depending on the significance of it, to fix the violation, and then we come back and do a re-inspect for those particular issues, to make sure that they've been corrected. What we're in the process of doing is making some changes, creating 2 different forms. One form is like a self-inspection form, if you will. It's for the smaller businesses, not a lot of employees or say customers or whatnot would be in the building at any given time. So minimal chances that there's going to be significant loss of life in case of an incident would occur. So what we're looking at doing instead of inspecting those businesses every year is we'll go in and physically inspect them every other year. And then the years that we don't, we will send them a form fill out so that they can kind of do their own self-inspection. And we'll give them the particular things that they need to check themselves very quickly. And then we're not in their business once, twice, sometimes 3 times in a year, disrupting their operations and business. As far as what we call big box buildings, your big warehouses, factories, that type of places. Places with hazardous materials, bulk amounts of that. Places of assembly where you have potential for large loss of life in the case of an incident. We are looking at inspecting those businesses twice a year instead of once, just to ensure that safety is maintained at the highest levels. In an effort to help reduce the impact on those businesses, is we are creating a different form that we'll send out to them ahead of our inspection. And it's going to have a list of things that they can go through and check themselves. And if anything needs corrected, hopefully they'll get the corrections made before we walk through the door 2-3 weeks later and do the inspection. So as far as minimizing the impact on their operations and their businesses, what that does is, one, that allows us to go in, do our inspection. We don't find any infractions, so it's quick in, quick out, and they move on, and so do we. And the other thing is if they have no violations, no problems, then we're not going back in 14 or 30 days and doing re-inspects. So, trying to make sure that the community's safe, where people shop and work, but at the same time trying to minimize our impact on the businesses themselves. Anybody have any questions?
Chief, on our agenda is an ordinance for fire lanes. Is that something you're in favor of?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm in the process of creating a policy that I want to present to our board, the fire board, and ask for approval of, and it's regarding fire lanes. As we get more and more bigger buildings, in places such as, I was going to use Kroger's, the shopping center in that area as an example, in the case of an incident, it can even be an emergency medical response where we need to get an ambulance in there. We need to be able to get over to where we're not impeding traffic, and we need to be able to get up to the front doors of those businesses so that we can get into a patient that may be having a critical medical emergency. So even though it's called a fire lane, it goes beyond just fires. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
it's been a while back, and you brought up the issue of the emergency fire whistle that you were refurbishing.
Yes, ma'am.
And what's the progress of that?
That is still in the works. We're hoping to have that done before the end of the summer. We have to get a special lift. It's so heavy to lift it. It's being painted and sandblasted and repainted and being fixed up, I'll say, in the right way, for lack of better words. One of the cones, there's, I believe it's 12 cones that go around side by side on the outer portion of it. One of the cones was missing. So we searched, and I guess it's been about a week ago when we finally got back, we found a fabrication shop to actually replicate the cone that we need. So, yeah, there's been some stumbles along the way, but it is currently being worked on.
I'm wondering, here a while back, there were fireworks that had gone up, and they tested for the sound, and it busted one of the windshield windows of the car. So I'm wondering when this fire siren goes off and when you go in that bowl, how is that going, and it's going to ricochet, how is that going to affect the homes that's close to the
I don't know of any houses that's gonna be close enough to the fire station where the storm sirens can be located that would be able to put out that amount of decibels, I guess, and to cause any kind of damage.
Well, Edwards is right close to the firehouse.
I'm sorry?
Edwards is close to the firehouse.
Yes, ma'am, but that siren was on top of the building that was right here on the high school courts.
Oh, well, yeah, I know that. You said
So
it
there was no
on-
damage to houses across the street. The apartment building at the time was right next door to it. So, I'm confident that there will be no damage to anybody's homes or anything as a result. The whole idea behind this is to make the citizens safer and not create harm for anybody. So. Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Matt Buggin from Cardinal Engineering.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir?
Look at you, busy typing.
Front and back.
Hopefully he's on his own time typing.
All right, thank you. So, it's, yeah, it's a little bit lengthier than usual, but, yeah, not too bad. On the High Street pedestrian bridge, so, going back to last month, Councilman O'Donnell had just gotten me in touch with, Mr. Charles Tyson. He's the local bridge inspector from Norfolk Southern. So, I met with him a couple times and, emailed back and forth, and he was nice enough to notify me that some of the out-of-town staff from the railroad was going to be in this area. They were actually meeting up in Richwood for the project the state's doing. And he said, hey, if you don't mind, if you've got a minute to spare to stop by and chat, you can meet some of these guys in person and talk through some of the issues we've been having. So Mayor Brown and I went over there and spoke with E.W. Chambers, who's been the man, sending the comments back to us whenever we send the plans. So, we explained to them how this project has been in the works for years, and some of the comments that they've sent us have really escalated the scale of the project beyond what we originally planned, and driven costs up and so on and so forth. And, they seemed like they were sympathetic to that. It didn't, the impression that I had gotten farther back was that they didn't want the bridge there, and they were pretty much doing whatever they could in their power to stifle the project. And I didn't get that impression from the meeting. They seemed a little bit more like they were okay with it. They just wanted to make sure that certain concerns were addressed. So Mr. Chambers said that his division engineer, that's his boss or boss's boss or whatever, was the one that was really taking a firm stance on replacing the abutment. So he was going to go back and talk to him and find out what allowances they can make. If that means that we just replace one side, or if we don't even have to replace all of it, just pull back the lower sections so that their drainage concerns are addressed. They also mentioned that they might be willing to provide some support either with flaggers for the track, or that they could potentially take care of the demolition for whatever part has to come out, and then the city would only be responsible for the replacement. So I don't have that in writing yet. I'm trying to get that because we've seen how things have gone in the past if we don't have written verification of that. I don't think of anything. As far as the road projects, Rigler's invoices for the first portion of the resurfacing project, so Chandler, High Scott, and Harrison need more. With the adjustments that we made in the field, we saved $9,200 over on the area around High Street. Adding fiber reinforcement on Chandler was an additional $5,300, but the service will hold up longer. So we had net savings on that part of the project of almost $3,900. We also I talked to them about the second phase of resurfacing that we wanted to include the Catalina, Plum, and Bettinger, a small portion of Bettinger, that we talked about last month. I went back and revisited the bid language and kind of went through it in a little bit more detail, and upon a second look, we felt that it was okay that we could add additional streets under the existing contract, so we won't need to bid it back out, meaning we can keep the prices that we've got, which are probably quite a bit lower than what we would get trying to bid a new project at this point in the season. So I talked to Rigler. They are expecting they can get that back out here on the week of August 12th. Because weather permitting, of course, and take care of that. And then last item here, Mayor Brown and Councilman Wainwright and myself met with Representative Santoro and some staff from District 6 back before the holidays to talk about some safety concerns that we had around the city. Development is ongoing. Residential and industrial, we've got more traffic coming through the city, and plus with the new interchange they'll be building in Richwood this fall, we might be seeing more traffic getting rerouted through Walton to avoid the construction. So we just reiterated our request to put in or to consider a signal at 25 and Walton Nicholson Road. Talked about potentially adding some more left turn space on the southbound off ramp, because it always, peak hours, the queues build up, and occasionally you have cars lined up out onto mainline 75, which is never good safety wise. And then just potentially doing some crosswalk improvements through town. So as far as the signal study goes, the state's, the last count was 2 years ago? Year and a half ago. So they said that, at that point in time, that it didn't meet the warrants either for traffic volumes or for crash history. They like to make sure that there's either a significant amount of traffic over 8 out of 12 hours, or that there have been enough crashes within a 3-year period to justify there's a need for it. At that point in time, I think there were only a couple short spans of time, 15 to 30 minutes here and there, that the side street traffic was heavy enough. They said they'd be happy to go out and count it again for us and let us know what they find out. For the off-ramp improvements, they said that they can, when something like that comes up, they can't just approve a project. They have to do what's called an interstate modification study, which is pretty much justifying it to the feds that there's a need for a project. And it's a pretty extensive process. It can cost the state up to $250,000 and take several years to do the study, do the documentation, the report, send it to the feds, and then get funding approved for a project. So they're aware that there's some traffic concerns here, but just compared to the rest of the state and even the rest of Boone County, it's not high enough on the priority list to have any funding available. What they did say is when the Ridgewood project starts, that they'll monitor that for that spillover traffic for people that maybe try to go through Walton to get around Ridgewood. And if they notice that it's really bumping up the numbers and the queues are getting longer, they can potentially send a change order to their contractor to do some striping improvements or whatever to add some storage space. It probably would be a great long-term fix, but it was something to buy some time. And then as far as the crosswalk improvements on Main Street, Mayor had some brochure for LED blinker signs that can be put up for the crosswalks through town just to help call it out a little bit, draw a little more attention to it for the drivers. The state said they weren't necessarily opposed to it, but they have to have Frank give the final approval on it. So they took the stuff we gave them in our mayor's letter requesting that and forwarded it along for comment. So it'll probably be right before the holiday. I would expect to hear something from them maybe another week or so at the earliest. As soon as we hear something, we'll that's enough.
All right.
I think that's about all that I've got.
Anybody have any questions for Matt?
First physical capacity. Send it better instead of residents. Get used to it.
Yep, definitely.
I was told, I'm sure you're aware, Joey, did you say the temporary light was going to be at Old Lexington at 25?
State advised me that they're gonna put a temporary traffic light at the south end of the Lexington Pike there where Chambers Road is across from.
Do you may want to take that into account when we do a traffic study?
Now, what phase of that's gonna occur, I don't know.
I'll check over there. I mean, the state will actually be doing the counts, so they hopefully be aware of what the other departments are up to and plan accordingly. I mean, at the very least, they wouldn't be doing it until school's back in session, just to get the best feel for the conditions. But yeah, I'll check back with them and see what they're planning to schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I have
Ben.
a question for probably the council based on the roads. Excuse me, I think, Matt, you looked at in Coffin Run, some of the areas that are breaking apart. It's been there, 10 years, and it looks like it's been there a lot longer than that because of construction. On Eclipse Drive and Old South Main, there's definitely concrete flying all over the place. And so I don't think we need a total repavement, but someone's gonna have to look at that before the winter, otherwise we'll have a cave-in.
Yeah, I went down there. I wasn't sure where you were talking about. And when I tried to meet with you, I think you were in Florida or something. And then it just slipped my mind, honestly.
There's actually several of them out there, and it's because of the concrete trucks, and during the construction, they've just torn apart roads, and they're potholes already. So they won't need a total pave, but they're gonna need attention. But we talked about it, I want to bring it up right now.
I can check. What street you said was?
It's in Coffin Run, it'll be on Old South Main and Eclipse. Also on Panzaretta, there's a lot of holes starting.
Okay.
The salt will definitely make them big holes.
Right.
Can't see every street, so you guys coming and letting us know is, thank you.
All right, moving forward, we have a resolution accepting the reappointment of Marcus Carey, Robert F. Green, Darrell Cummins, Robert Sanders, Tom Quirk, and Wes Wesley Williams, and the appointment of Bryce C. Rhodes as members of the Northern Kentucky Regional Ethics Authority Enforcement Committee for a 2-year term commencing February 1, 2019, and expiring on January 31st, 2021. Wait, you all right over there, Councilman?
Yeah.
That was a little heavy.
That was Barb.
All right, moving on. Can I get a motion?
Now make it.
Second.
Barb,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
All right, this passes. Municipal order number 2019-05, authorizing the mayor of the city of Walton to enter into a management agreement with the YMCA of Greater Cincinnati for the operation of the Walton Senior Center, and authorizing a monetary contribution for the YMCA for such authorization.
Motion.
Discussion, we're just, and that's the 16,000 that we put in the budget. Okay. I'll second it.
All right.
Barb,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Counselor, you want to go forth with the
All right,
next?
I'll do it. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2019-04. This is the budget for the fiscal year 19/20. This is second reading and consideration for adoption. This is an ordinance adopting the City of Walton, Kentucky annual budget for the fiscal year July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2020 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. You all have the handouts, and section 1 of the ordinance, it starts at the middle of page 1, goes over to page 2, shows the various funds and allocations. And that's the summary, and you may adopt this ordinance by motion.
Motion. Sorry.
Barb,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
All right, the next one is a first reading. You want me to read it, or you want to discuss it first? Tell you what it's about?
Go for it.
I'll just read the title, and then this is sponsored by Councilmember McDonald. It's ordinance 2019-05, an ordinance of the City of Walton, Kentucky, amending ordinance 2013-17 by repealing the stop sign language in section 2 therein, thereby requiring the elimination and removal of the stop signs in both directions on Edwards Avenue at 231 Edwards, and to add language to replace the stop signs with slow curve signs or appropriate equivalents. You see the operative part of the ordinance towards the bottom of page 1. The highlighted language is, there's focus on that so that you can see that the language from the previous ordinance that required the installation of those stop signs in both directions is struck through, and language is proposed to be added that says slow, curve, or appropriate equivalent signs shall be installed in both directions in the area of the curve near 231 Edwards Avenue. This is proposed as an amendment to our Code of Ordinances in order to bring it into conformance with the state manual on traffic control devices, which recommends stop signs at intersections. So that's the title and summary. You all typically vote on first reading, so you could discuss it and vote on it if you like.
I'll open this for discussion. Okay.
Why did you bring this up? You did on
Huh?
this was, you mentioned that this was brought up by you, removing of the stop sign.
Correct, the stop sign was, it was brought to our attention that it should not be where it is. It's in a curve, not at an intersection.
And it was put in the curve there, and it has worked, but true, no one has stopped. I must myself have caught and met people in that curve. Two cars cannot go around that curve at the same time. One of them is going to have to stop. If you do not have a stop sign, and they go ahead and go through it, you at least have grounds on, they were told to stop, and they didn't do it. So now you're just gonna put slow. Well, who's gonna slow down first? Whereas if you got stop sign road, that you have a fence, a private fence that can, here where people are starting to tear it up, but you can't see around it. You cannot see the car coming this way when you're coming. The stop signs have to work. There has been 2 incidents that I was in, but they almost hit me. They basically, because they were dazed and they were driving in. So I'm opposed to removal of those stop signs. We had a lengthy discussion, it's been years since we had something finally done. And it should be there. And if it's the lake people complaining about it, now I agree that with the stop sign down there where the lake people are coming out of, I don't see why a stop sign is still there. I have to admit that. I mean, it's hard on the bus and everything, but within that curve, it should stay.
I will add my piece on this if nobody else has anything. I do agree. My discussions with the counselor here, KDOT does not recommend stop signs that aren't at intersections, but they don't say it's illegal. I would say that from, let's see, what was this? 2013? Yeah, 2013 when this was put in, and I was on council at the time. That's all we ever heard about was complaints of speeding on Edwards Avenue from people going to and from Boone Lake. I don't know that this has helped or this has hurt, but I do know that I haven't heard many complaints from it. I will concede that I don't think the stop sign is necessarily the appropriate thing there, but I don't know that a slow curve is going to do anything either.
They had a slow, they had slow children at play, and that did not work, and that was up the upper part of it, and that did not work, so they put these stop signs there as well.
Yeah, I would just mention that just on Edwards alone, there's 4 stop signs. I think that's the most or second most of any street in the city of Walton. And I can tell you it's not the biggest street in the city of Walton. So I'd say there's probably appropriate amount of stop signs. But to, follow Bobby's point, they shouldn't be in the middle of the curve. I mean, it's just a recommendation of, I didn't interrupt you during your time. It's just a new driver or an existing driver, does not expect in their manual when they take their test or retest to have a stop sign in the middle of the curve. It's just that's just against everything they're taught in driving class to expect it to stop at a non-intersection. So I would just second Bobby's point of why he proposed the ordinance.
There are issues there on the street. It's a narrow street. You have thrown big rocks in there in the ditch part where cars have gone over in there trying to dodge one another. And the bus has trouble going around that sharp area, and that's why those big rocks are thrown in there. The sign should say, you mentioned you have 4 stop signs on Edwards Street. Actually, you have 5. And there are at 2 stop areas, not 4 stop areas. So let's not make it more signs that's really necessary.
All right, Ms. Stewart, Thank you for your comments. As this is just the first reading, surely if the first reading passes tonight, you will have an entire month to rally anybody and everybody who's opposed to this from Edwards Avenue to come speak on it. And again, I thank you for your comments on it. If there's no further discussion from council, would someone like to make a motion on this?
Motion.
Second.
Barb,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
And believe it or not, another stop sign ordinance, ordinance number 2019-06. The title is an ordinance of the City of Walton, Kentucky, repealing ordinance 2017-20, thereby rescinding the requirement to install stop signs on Old Stevenson Mill Road at the intersection with Central Avenue, and its provision implementing penalties for violations thereof, thereby requiring the elimination and removal of the stop signs on Old Stevenson Mill Road at the intersection with Central Avenue, and the stop sign on Central Avenue at Stevenson Mill to remain. And that pretty much summarizes it. Sections 1 and sections 2 sort of flesh out what I just read in the title, but that'll serve as a summary.
Okay, I will open this up for discussion as well. Council?
Well, as the person that sponsored that, can you tell me who did that?
This is also Councilmember McDonald.
Okay. I live on that street. The mayor lives on that street. I go up and down that street 6 times a day, every day, back and forth to work. Not anybody else on this council can say that they go on that street that many times a day. I've talked to my neighbors, and unfortunately, they couldn't be here tonight, but it has created a lot of calmness in our neighborhood because people hit that one stop sign up there at Old Beaver, and before we had our stop sign up there at Central, they would go 50 miles an hour down that road. Now, it takes, and according to police officers, I've talked to 2 of them, it takes 4 seconds to stop at a stop sign. Now, you tell me that somebody getting injured or maybe killed at that intersection is worth somebody not stopping for 4 seconds there at that stop sign? You cannot see. That stop sign has to remain there. It's going to prevent anybody getting killed or injured at that stop sign. And they have issued tickets. I don't know how many this month, but the one policeman said that is one of the best things they've done for Walton is put that stop sign up there.
Okay.
Central and Old Stevenson Mill. Because you cannot see, when you pull up to that, you can't see left. And somebody said, well, make it a right-hand turn only. Well, you still couldn't see that car coming up there. You're going to get creamed.
You know, if I will, Matt, you did the engineer's study on that. Could I ask you a couple questions about that? That's called a 5-second test, correct? 6-second test, okay. Would you explain the 6-second test once again for those who may not have heard it, and kind of explain what you, how you went about that whole process?
So, when studying an intersection for a potential stop sign, there are a few different methods you can use. The simplest of which is called a 6-second test, which is you sit out there at what, you know, where you would be stopping if there was a stop sign posted with a stopwatch, and you watch in either direction, and when a car comes into view, you start the stopwatch. When the car reaches the intersection, you stop the stopwatch. You know, try to get multiple readings so you have a good representative sample. Once you take all of those counts, them out. If the intersection has if those times average out to 6 seconds or more, that is considered enough reaction time to spot the vehicle and proceed or wait, as the case may be, safely. If it is less than 6 seconds, then that is considered insufficient time for, processing the reaction time. So I sat out there and watched to the left. I took 7 readings over a span of 10 minutes or so. And it averaged out to 5.02 seconds. And actually not a single one of those individual times was over 6 seconds. So based on that, that was considered insufficient sight distance for safe travel out of that intersection. The right side was okay. I didn't take those down, or that wasn't the email that I sent back in 2018 because the left side was the main concern. I know there was some talk of having the county come back and do a more extensive study, actually going and physically measuring the distances, and I'm not sure if that ever happened.
They do study.
It wasn't in the email chain at least, but that was the quick and dirty study that I did.
Okay.
Your recommendation on that study, was it particularly a stop sign or just that the intersection met the minimum
I
requirement?
just made a recommendation that looking to the left, there was insufficient insufficient reaction time to safely pull out.
By on average 0.8 of a second.
Hmm?
By on average 0.8 of a second.
By almost a full second.
A couple things. One, so when I know when they came to the speed study there, about 100 cars per hour, right? And so how many readings did you do?
7.
That sounds like 7% of all of an average hour. So I would just say the sample size seems small, right, to make a recommendation for a thoroughfare right through the city of Walton. Chief, how many accidents have you guys worked in the last couple years at that location?
I could not give you an accurate number without doing some research. I can tell you myself in my career, right off the top of my head, I can remember one incident at the intersection. And that was a single vehicle accident.
How long you been on? Fire?
I've been in the department for 20 years, full down day.
And the department used to be on that road, correct?
Yes.
Major Mark, how much is a stop sign violation at that intersection?
Any stop sign violations, the same fine, I believe it's $162.50.
And on the speed study, I believe that showed that 91% of the cars on Old Stevenson Mill Road bang the speed limit or under, and only 9% were violating the posted speed limit.
I'd also like to point out here, you talk about, I know where you were going with the 0.82 seconds. Have you ever watched the Olympics? Do you know what 0.82 seconds looks like in 100? The amount of time that it takes, 1 second. Those guys are running, what, 25 miles an hour on foot? What if you're doing 45? What's 1 second then? Now, we could talk about this and you all can do this, but I'm just going to tell you, you could sit up here and talk about, you can talk all you want about safety for people and this and that, but anybody that votes against this doesn't give a shit about safety for anybody in the city of Walton. So I'll accept the motion anytime.
Motion.
Second.
Barb? John?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Rose?
Absolutely not. And I hope if somebody gets hurt at that intersection, it's on everybody's head.
Stephanie? Yes. Matt?
Yes.
This is the most idiotic thing I've ever seen or heard in my life.
One more ordinance.
One more, first reading, City of Walton amending Section 150-35 of the Walton Code of Ordinances by designating the Walton Fire Protection District as the authority having jurisdiction to enforce the standards and safety of the other provisions contained in that section, and to operate a fire inspection program pursuant to KRS 227.320. Further, to require certain additional life and fire safety precautions, improvements, and actions by owners and operators of structures and businesses in the city.
Motion.
Second.
Barb?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Put it up, council comments. Barb? Councilman Wainwright?
Hope everyone had a great 4th of July, and I think the next time we'll see, school will be in, so wish the kids a great school back, if they're going back to school, so wish them a great school year.
Councilman McDonald?
No, sir.
Councilman Beach?
I have nothing to say to anybody on this council, and I can tell you right now, if there's a child that gets injured or somebody gets injured at that intersection, I hope that you all can sleep at night.
Councilwoman Williams?
Nothing.
Councilman Brown?
Nope.
I don't have anything. Motion to adjourn, please. Yes, there will, Margie, on both.
Do you have a member of the?
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr.
Who held
Cedar,
his
I'm
time?
sorry, I apologize so much.
Well, I should have jumped in. I didn't know what your schedule was, but this pretty much is an FYI for everyone in the council and information for the city of Walton. The new apartment complex behind Waffle House is almost complete. And I don't know, some of you knew when the Board of Adjustment had gone through a lot of discussions on it. Well, recently on Facebook, and I'm not a looker, I don't look at Facebook, but my wife happened to spot it, that somebody was looking for an apartment in Walton, a nice apartment, and they had been told, why don't you go check your new apartment? So one of the experts on Facebook jumped in and told them, don't go there because it's a Section 8 apartment complex. Well, that piqued my interest again because that was part of the discussion originally several years ago. So I contacted Todd Morgan, who is with the Boone County, he's a senior planner for zoning. He's the one who helped run our meetings. And asked him to look into and find out information if this was true, find out what the agenda of the developer was. And Todd got back to me, and this is, and I'll leave this with the council here because it's going to be for you to determine over the years. The Board of Adjustment is basically, we're done. But this comes from Tammy Stanbury, Vice President Development of Woda Cooper Companies, who actually run the complex and other complexes. And same with the senior one that they're going to be trying to build. And she said to Todd, please find attached a copy of our lease. Again, we are not a Section 8 development. There is no subsidy attached to the units for rent, period. All residents are required to pay rent and have income in order to rent with us, period. If you need anything else, please let me know. Thank you. So this is from WODA, who's running it, and they said, no, it is not a Section 8, and it is not subsidized, so it's a regular apartment complex. So I leave it with you, taking it from her comments. Whether it changes in the future, I do not know. But the way they're set up now, this will not be a Section 8 welfare complex, but it's all subsidized. I don't know what the exact lease cost will be. I heard somewhere in the vicinity of $700 to $1,000 a month, so I don't, you have to be working to be able to afford it. So I will leave this with you. You can keep it in your files, but once that complex starts, you'll have to monitor whether or you going section 8 or not, because according to this statement, they are not.
No, I was at that meeting, and my recollection, I think it was, they said that they were gonna offer 10% of the apartments, or they were gonna be reduced rent based on income.
Right.
And it wasn't a voucher program, it was just that to get their, they applied for grant fund or some funding. And to get that, they had to show that they were gonna support cheaper apartments for lower income, but at a percentage of 10%, I think, so that's like 4.5 or 5 apartments of the whole complex.
I remember we had gone through, you were there, I went back and read all the minutes on there too. And even Todd made the comment that he thought that's the way they intended to start with. But if this is the way they end now, this is their last statement, that it is not going as a subsidized apartment complex. They took our way through it.
Thanks for the follow-up. I know that there's some misinformation out there.
But again, it will be up to the council to determine what goes on in the future.
I think I've seen the comments that you're talking about.
I'm sorry?
I think I've seen the comments she has seen on there about it being a section 8 when it
Yes.
is.
Just last week or week before.
Yeah. They started a few months ago too, I think it was on there then, when they were still really building then. I read some of the comments then.
Yes, I have to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Seaver. All right. Now,
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Barb,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes. Stephanie?
Matt.
yes.